What's the thought, good people? Welcome to Exist with Purpose podcast, a podcast for men.
And the women who love them.
A podcast where we talk about the heart of men, y'all. We're talking about their health. We're talking about their emotions. We're talking about their awareness, their relationships, and their thinking. I am your host, Corey Angelo, joined as always. Joined, but not really joined. Joined as always by the lovely, beautiful Bella. Y'all, Bella couldn't make it on camera today, again. It's starting to become a thing with her, huh? Bella said she had to take her dog to get his braces off his teeth. I don't know how that works, but that's why Bella couldn't make it with us today. But I got a surprise for y'all. We don't need Bella today, and I got a surprise. I have a guest who has traveled from Indianapolis by the way of Chicago, by the way of Arizona. This man is a living proof, y'all. He's a walking testimony, y'all, that redemption isn't just possible, but that is very powerful. This man is a husband of 25 going on 26 years. This man is a father of 4. This man is a grandfather. This man is a pillar of community, life, and he's an activist for the community. This man he's just an all-around good dude. He's the founder of the M.O.V.E. organization in Indianapolis, where they do good cleanups and get a lot of youth to come together and do cleanups. This man is someone who used to be a Crip, but now he helps, instead of tearing down communities, he helped rebuild them. This man is the one who used to move swiftly in chaos, but now he moves quietly in purpose. This is a man who started from, humble beginnings is not even a word. It's got to be a word that means something deeper than that. But that's his starting point, to see the journey he's came to now, and to hear his story and testimony, man. This is a man that y'all gonna have a great time listening to and watching, none other than Mr. Tony Patton. Welcome to the show, Mr. Patton. How you doing? So we're gonna go back to the very beginning, right? We're gonna go back to Arizona. When you were in Arizona and you decided to join the Crips, who were you trying to protect when you became the person that you used to be?
Single black mother, man, with no man in her life, no husband, no real man, busters coming in and out of her life, two beautiful baby sisters, one named Ashley, another one named Linda, and also all the things that black men are afraid to say they're afraid of. One, you're afraid to, as a group, you would always say you're afraid to walk down that alley. And in reality, in the retrospect, what human's not afraid to walk down that dark alley by himself?
Exactly.
And there's no lights, there's nothing there. You don't know what's inside.
Exactly.
And so the trauma of the hood always traumatizes to try to one-up someone. So while the group is there, you got to prove the reality that you are what the hood say that you're not. Now, I am that tough dude. I don't fear nothing.
Yeah.
So I was trying to protect myself from that, as well as young black guys that was in my position that was preyed on. Having that flag in my back pocket with them blue khakis and them corduroy house shoes brought a sense of respect and a sense of leverage for me, to where young people could look up to me and say, hey, if something was wrong or out of the place in the hood, I'm gonna tell my OG or my homie from Park South, and he's gonna make sure it's taken care of, because they're typically in the hood. Anybody that lives in the hood, they're taken care of. It's like an automatic protection.
You grandfathered in with the protection.
100%. 100%.
And I could definitely relate to that, man, because I grew up single mother, 4 siblings. You know what I mean? My brother, older brother, he was always out playing basketball or something. I don't know what the dude had going on, but, so I could definitely relate to that. And, just needing, I guess, that sense of camaraderie. But it's just unfortunate that, like, a lot of times, and we don't know. Like, so I'm not here to point no kind of fingers, because, boy, anybody know my story personally know, like, I come through the trenches for real, so I understand the sense of wanting some camaraderie.
100%.
But in hindsight, looking back, like, oh, man, this shit was so dysfunctional. But we didn't know, man, and we were just all I guess, for lack of a better term, people just trying to make it any way they could. So something else I know about you that our viewers may or may not know about you. You have a very strong affinity for pit bulls. Do you ever feel like the world treats you like a pit bull and they judge you off of your posture instead of your personality?
100%, I believe that. I believe the pit bull and I, connected. Not even knowing the breed of a pit bull and what it was as a young kid. I had a Doberman, and I'll never forget. I thought this Doberman was so tough, and my cousin had this little bitty dog named V, and he brings this dog into our backyard, and my Doberman is bigger. It looks as this little kid. I'm like, oh, my Doberman will whoop that dog, and I'm looking at the stature as society look as our stature.
Yeah,
it was short, but it was stocky.
Yeah.
But he didn't do a whole bunch of barking, unlike society barks at us as a black men.
Yeah.
And we're in our silence because they haven't took the opportunity to approach us. They just assume from a distance and they begin to bark. Well, most black men, and I'm going to say me as a black man, society begin to bark like a pit bull. Really, no, you really don't want these problems. You're doing a lot of talking, but if you really wanted to action, you come over here. Yeah. And so the pit bull wasn't doing much barking. So I let my dog off the leash thinking my dog was bigger and it's gonna whoop this dog. And all of a sudden I'm crying as this little 9-year-old kid, like, get that dog off my dog, because it had locked onto my Doberman's neck and it was just shaking it. And I'm like crying for my dog, but all at the same time while this fight going on, falling in love with this dog named V. Like,
crying for your dog, but cheering for falling in love with the dog and beating your dog up.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Crazy.
And so misunderstood, overlooked, felt like we shouldn't exist, and felt like the moment you see me, just give it a minute, it's gonna attack you.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that, man. Like, we all know the unfortunate events that happened with Trayvon Martin, man. Like, a lot of people, man, it's sad but true, but they fear what they don't understand, man. And just not knowing that if they got close enough to it to understand it, the fear by definition will have no choice but to melt away. You've not been, has a very heavy presence in church and things of that nature. Do you think the streets ever gave you something that the church either couldn't or could but never did?
That question runs deep. Yes.
Tell me more.
It's one thing that the streets gave me that unfortunately in church that never could, is we are who we are.
Yeah.
It was nothing, the streets, I'm a cusser, I'm a liar, I'm a fornicator.
You accept it.
Yeah, hey, I'm all of this.
You accept it. Stamped. Good.
That's who we are.
Yeah.
We snakes, and you know it.
Yeah.
Come deal with me. And so, unfortunately, in the house of church, it's chameleons.
Yeah.
And so it's hurtful, it's detrimental, and it's not for all. As much as I love being in the house of God, but you asked me a sincere question that needed a truthful answer. Yeah. And that's one thing that I was unable to identify into any church building I went. It was always mixed in with amongst a whole bunch of people that portrayed to be this. And I'm not talking abroad about those that are striving to get it right and getting it wrong. I'm talking about those that knowing, premeditated, that, I'm going to say this, but I'm going to live this way.
And I think I'm almost pretty sure, like, a lot of young men, they kind of feel like it's easier to be accepted in the streets than it is in the church setting, because, like you said, everybody know, like, what, you a robber? Okay, you a gangbanger, you sell dope, you kidnap people, we all,
Yeah.
Ain't no judgment here. You know what I mean? Ain't no judgment here. For me personally, if I was to, like, try to pinpoint anything like that, like, I started selling drugs when I was 15 years old. And, my mother had me in church when I was younger, whatever the case may be. But I think, like, one thing I picked up in the streets, and I'm not saying the church or mosque or whatever could never give me, but it gave me such a keen outlook, such a sharp perspective on life and have how to move. I know some people who are so intelligently smart when it comes to book smarts, but in the streets they're goofballs. Like they don't like me and you. We could see a scam from here to Milwaukee. Like he don't see it. But for somebody who don't know, it's why would he lie? He wouldn't say he had that. He just told me send him $500 up front and he'll send the puppies to my house. Like, are you for real? That's where we at? But yeah, so I always wanted to ask people that, like, who I know who've been in the streets and in the church, or transition from one to the other. Like, do you think one gave you or taught you something more than the other one did or didn't? I got an even deeper question for you.
Shoot.
What has been the cost of your healing, and in some way, form, fashion, or another, are you still paying for that?
I'm still healing. I'm forever healing. And I say I'm forever healing because there's things that I have not endured at 50 years of age.
Right.
And there's things that I have not been in that I'm still going to have to heal from when it takes place. Yeah, and I say forever healing because right now as I'm here and invited into this space of what is going on amazingly in your life. I'm in the midst of a storm as I sit here today. Yeah. So I'm in the midst of healing. Yeah. And the first part of the healing is remaining pure. Yeah. If you can't keep your heart pure, no matter what someone has done, no matter what you have done to yourself, it's almost impossible to heal. Because without a heart being pure, it's manipulated to sway in the way that feels comfortable for you.
You're absolutely right.
So you got to have a pure heart. Right. So that way, when you have did something self-inflictedly, unintentionally, intentionally, no matter how that pain came, if your heart's not pure, then the ambition to twist to how you feel is right is going to always sway your judgment.
And like, I could definitely agree with the still healing aspect of it. But one of the things, like, a lot of people don't know about me, like, my entire life, I've struggled with father issues because I always just wonder, okay, I'm not a bad looking kid. I mean, wow. I get my fair share of nonsense, but at the core, you strip away all the everything. My core, like, dude, a really good person, man. So I'm thinking in my head as I'm younger, like, what did I do that I ain't good enough for him to stick around for me? And I know you and your other kids' life, whatever you and my mama had going on, that's y'all situation. Ain't got nothing going on with me. So that's one thing, like, bothered me a lot in my life. And just trying to numb the pain of my own life through drinking, drugs, It wasn't until I got locked up and I read Jay-Z's book, Decoded. And what's so crazy, when I came home, I had to find out the same story was true about Jim Jones. But when I read Jay-Z's book, Decoded, he was talking about he never had a relationship with his father, blah, 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 blah. His father about to die. AIDS, I believe. But his father about to die. And his mother, like, Jay, well, Sean, nobody in his family call him Jay, everybody call him Sean. Like, Sean, go see your daddy. And Jay was like, nah, I'm cool. She's like, Sean, go see your daddy. Your daddy about to die. Like, Mom, I'm cool. Like, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. So he said his mama kept on asking, wore him down, like, set it up, I'll go. So Jay said he went. He said, me and my father had like a real hard father-son, man-to-man conversation. He said, and that conversation did so much for me as a person, as a man, that it helped me be a better father, the blue ivy, just all around try to be a better person, like, because I understood his story. One thing, we're going to thumb take that for just 1 second, that me and my fiance be talking about, this still like got something to do with healing. Our kids look at their parents, I say our kids look at their parents like they something other than a human. They just human with their own faults, their own failures, their own shortcomings, their own everything. So now we're back into my healing. Once I came out from prison, And I was just sitting around. I told my sister I share the same dad with. I said, you know what? We're going to Chicago. We're going to see Pops. But first I have to track him down. Shout out to my fiance. That's them women, boy. Y'all, they born detectives. She jumped on. She jumped on every Facebook, Twitter beat, lip lop, everything you could think of. We found my sister Jessica, and short story short, I found my father and went to go see him. And just to be able to have a conversation with him, and like just really talk and see him, he just like kept apologizing. He just kept looking at me like, Corey, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. So when we left, we were about to leave to go back to Indy. He had wanted some donuts or some coffee from down the street, Dunkin' Donuts. So I told my sister, I'm just gonna run it in and come back out. So I ran in, handed him his stuff. Like, all right, Pops, we out here. Before I left back out, it's almost like a scene in a movie. He's like, Corey. I stopped, like turned around, what's up, Pop? He just looked at me, he's like, I'm sorry, man. And just dropped his head. Like, it's all good, man. We back locked in, whatever the case may be. So I know that, like you said, it's like an ongoing journey. And then here's the crazy part about it. I ended up getting in my feelings about something else and stopped talking to him for a while. So just recently, when I tried to catch back up with him, my sister told me he was dead. And I changed my number when I moved to Atlanta. So
Wow.
she said she couldn't even get in contact with me to tell me to come to the funeral because I changed my number. I said, oh, man. Wow. So it's still a million unanswered questions and
Sure.
whatever the case may be. But yeah, I just wanted to know that. So you're a big fan as myself in music. Sometimes we might send each other a song to check out or whatever the case may be. At this current moment, if your life had a theme song and it had to stay on loop, it would not have to stay, but it would be on loop when things got quiet, what would that theme song be right now?
Oh my goodness. Marvin Sapp.
Never Would Have Made It.
Nope. It's not Never Would You Made It. Man, I'm trying to get it in my mind. I cannot think of it. It's a song by Marvin Sapp, man. And this song pretty much says, you thought I was gonna crumble, you thought I was gonna fail, and pretty much, yes, you can.
Yeah,
That's the name of it. Yes, you can. And that's that. I hear it every day, every week. I'm playing it 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And that would be a loop. And I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm a man.
Yeah.
I want to retract back, if you will allow me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
You struck a chord when you was talking about your father. I too tracked my father down in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share what I realized that God had done for me in a situation. It's a man that God gave to me. His name is Rodney Beard.
Yeah.
Some call him Apostle Rodney Beard, but to me, he's Rodney.
Yeah.
He was enough. No one can ever replace your father, but God has a way of giving you the greatest substitute that you could ever humanly
You better
possible.
believe it. You better believe it.
And he is it for me.
Better believe it.
He stepped into my world. And God, I can never tell this testimony without getting emotional. I'll never forget being on a beach house in Orange Beach, Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And it's a men's retreat we go to. We've been going to it almost 19 years now. This was young in the relationship, probably about my second, if not third year. I was sitting out and I was overlooking the ocean. And there's something about the ocean and the mountains for me. It was quiet. The sun had set and the waves, you could just hear them clashing.
Yeah.
And I always sit in awe of how God allows water to go so far with no restriction.
Yeah.
And I heard the door open because I was outside of a sliding door, and he walks out and this man walks up. Not knowing what he was getting ready to do or say, he takes my hand and he places a monetary gift in it. And the amount of the monetary gift, even though it was more than what I didn't expect anything.
Right.
It wasn't the monetary gift, it's what was attached to it, what he said. He said, this is for every birthday your father missed.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
Never in a million years. Greatest substitute God could ever gave me.
Yeah.
You would think this man was my biological father because when I get in the presence of him, although I'm 50, I feel like I'm 2-3 years old.
Absolutely. And you know, I heard a brother the other day saying something about a situation like about fathers and stuff. Cause first, like, what people gotta understand and come to understand and know, like at the end of the day, God the best of planners. So if your father, this is how the guy I was listening to kind of broke it down. If your father wasn't in your life, it might not have been just because he didn't want to be. It may be begin because God said, nah, I'll let you stay in that little dude life, you're gonna fuck that dude up.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna create another you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna keep you away from him.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna keep you away from him.
Yeah.
So, and then how he broke it down though, man, it was so poetic though. I'm like, damn, I never thought about it like that. He said, so don't always think. We always just try to relate everything to our first person understanding. Me. But the world is so much bigger than you.
Sure.
God see everything. So he might have know, like, your father is addicted to alcohol and drugs. If I let him stay around you and you end up going over his little rundown apartment, once you get 12, 13, 14 years old, he gonna be so drunk and high, man. You wanna try it? And he gonna get you strung out. So we gonna keep your father away from you. And when he said it, I said, damn, that is deep, man. I never thought about it like that. Cause I always just thought about it like from my aspect of what I wanted, you know what I mean? And it's funny that you say that about God put a replacement now. My brother's father, he always been in my life. That's my dude to this day. Like, when I was in prison, he come by, check on mama, whatever, give her a couple dollars for me, you know what I mean? He had been my dude, you know what I mean, for a long time, you know what I mean? So I could definitely understand that. But it took me, so the hate and anger I used to have for my father, man, was so severe, like so severe. But as I got older and I know that stuff is just festering inside of me, my mother told me something one day. I'll never forget. She said, baby, sitting around hating your father is like you taking poison, expecting him to die.
Yep.
It only bothers you.
Yeah.
He living his life in Chicago. He notifying you. But you wake up with that every day. Now, I used to tell the white racist guys when I was locked up, I used to tell them the same thing. Like, for y'all to wake up every morning and the first thing on your mind is that you don't like black people or Mexicans or Jews. Bruh, that takes a lot of energy.
Tons.
And I said, well, damn, you kind of get the same thing. Cause I might not wake up doing it, but I sure be like, I can't stand that dude. You know what I mean? Now when I see youngsters have so much hate and disdain for their fathers, I'll be like, man, he was just a man. He was just a man. I mean, I'm not denying your feelings, your emotions, none of that, but he was just a man. And everything. So this is your homework assignment. Everything you see about him that you don't like or whatever, you got a son. You make sure that never happens now. Because at the end of the day, your son gonna have to realize you was just a man doing the best with what you knew how.
One of the most profound things, if you don't mind, and as you said, not to cut you off as you're speaking the wisdom, the most powerful possession I took from some pain that my father left me with is what I felt.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to God, if I ever am allowed to become a father, my kids will never know that pain.
Yeah, that's deep.
And the fact that I was in this window with the same trauma, saying, was I ugly? Why don't he come get me? Maybe I did something wrong. Yeah. I mean, here a 5, 6, 7-year-old boy basically blaming himself as to why my dad wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
And knowing that pain and how severe it was and how deep it took me down the rabbit hole, I vowed that if God ever grant me an opportunity to become a father, my kids would never not be able to walk down the hall and see me.
And you know, so crazy you say that, not to cut your wisdom. When I start having sons, that was one of my promises I made. Like, I would never in a million years do my sons like my father did me. But here's a kind of ironic twist to the story. That I still kind of beat myself up over, but I'm learning to just let it go. My father went in my life purely by choice. I went in my son's life because I was in prison, but it was still purely by choice because no one forced me to sell drugs. So I missed 15 years of these dudes' life because I'm in prison.
Mm,
So that still affects me. And I like, oh man.
mm.
Like I end up, even though I didn't just, all right, baby mama, see y'all later. I ain't no
Right.
contact. Even though I didn't do it like that, like my father did, I still like. So that's something I wrestle with. You just mentioned, you just said something though that made me think about something. You was talking about like when you became a father, um, you would make sure your kids would never be able to walk down the hall and see you. Today, as it stands today, you could go off today or you could go leading up to today. How has fatherhood shaped your life sermon?
Oh my God, man. Yeah, I know we don't have enough time on this podcast for that. But being a father, your children will teach you that which you thought you really knew.
Oh man,
Uh,
absolutely.
I mean, the one thing that I found out is though the world reveres and may be screaming your name and applause may be coming, accolades may be being placed on your mantle and on the wall. What do your children say about you?
Yeah,
How do they feel?
because there's nothing more. I don't know if embarrassing is the word I want to say, but there's nothing more. Um, so there's nothing more crazy. Just let me say that. I don't know
Yeah,
the word I'm trying to find, but
sure.
to be a public success but a private failure.
100%.
So the world loves you, but your family, your kids, they like whatever. I mean,
Right.
not saying they hate you, but like you want that same, you want that energy from both worlds to be,
Times 10
yeah,
from
yeah.
the ones that you care
Boy,
about the most.
I'm for sure. Yeah,
Time,
please correct me on that. You're right.
times
I
10.
want. Yeah, when I come here, this is the love I want. That out there, I appreciate, tall respect, salute. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. Because at the end of the day, when somebody got kick a couple little scoops of dirt on me and get up there and say a few nice words, I want to be my family and my kids to be like, man,
Sure.
you know what I mean? So I could definitely did that. With barbershop talk, and
Uh-huh.
we gonna go too deep to it, but I do
Yeah.
have a. As a matter of fact, we're not even related just to barbershop talk because I know your work extends beyond barbershop talk because before you had a online presence, you had an
Mm-hmm.
offline purpose. So
Oh,
I,
wow.
I acknowledge that. So you help a lot of men and young men rebuild. What is one piece of you that you feel like is still under construction?
Wow. I don't know where you got these. I don't know if you got a cue card over there or what, man. But all of me,
All of you. Amen. Amen.
all of me.
Amen. And you know why I okay, so my whole system, my whole core system, foundation, the pillars is street wisdom from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
The heart is an acronym for health, emotions, awareness, relationships, and thinking. So if you was to ask me what part of myself is still under construction, I probably would have gave you the same answer. Every
Wow.
last piece of one of them.
Yeah.
Every last piece of one of them. Not one of them is complete or nowhere near complete. I mean,
Sure.
all of them are consistently under construction. The best thing I've learned to do for myself, because I like to think big, so but I have to dial it back in, just like 1% in each area a day.
Wow.
If you could just do one in your health, did you eat some more? Did you eat more fruit today than you did yesterday? Yep, good job. Your emotions. Did you let somebody get you off key or did you become too angry too quick or whatever? Nope, good job. With your awareness, how self-aware was you today? How did you I learned something the other day, man, it blew my mind. I'm about to start doing it. It has to do with awareness, but also has to do with presence. You're like the quickest way to develop awareness and presence in your life, every situation you in, like when we spend time with family, friends, loved ones, whatever the case would be, act like you got a gun up to your head. He said, you know why? Because When you got a gun to your head, don't nothing matter but what's going on right there in that room.
Mm.
You could look around and say, yep, it's an orange flower over there, because you're so present, you're so aware
Right.
that don't nothing else matter. So I asked, well, did you work on your relationship? Did you reach out to some people or just send somebody a positive text, a quote or something? You're thinking, how was you thinking today? Was it up? Was it down? Was it in between? Like, so I agree with you. Like all aspects of myself is consistently under construction, man, consistently. So I could definitely dig that. So right now, we live in a very interesting time. We live in the world. I mean, you had talked about this off screen, I know a little bit, but we ain't go too deep in it. But we had talked about it a little bit. But we live in a world right now that measures you by your worth less than they measure you by your mistakes. So how do you teach and remind yourself to always see the divine in your design?
I'll be honest. Sometimes I'm silent because depending on the severity of that pain, one thing that I do not play with is the humanity in me.
Absolutely.
The humanity side of me has to be dealt with as well.
Yeah.
And no matter how great of wisdom you may be downloaded with,
Yeah.
when it's a disconnect from you
Yeah.
individually receiving the wisdom that has been, it's in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't have the key to access that door in yourself,
Yeah.
you have to be honest enough to push the help button.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
and so with what you asking, how do I do it? I hit the help button. I have that man again, Rodney Beard, man.
Yeah.
I call, and every man needs somewhere where they can go and authentically be rawly butt naked with no judgment. Not that he's gonna cuckoo and cuddle the situation, but he knows at this moment what you only need is protection and love.
Yeah.
I'm gonna discipline you. I'm gonna hold you accountable at a later state. But right now, at this moment, you can't hear any of that nor receive it because the humanity side of you is just broken.
Yeah.
And if he don't address that, we may not ever get to speak to you again.
Yeah.
And that's the side that people don't realize. That is, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
The moment that you talked about the world views us on the mistakes versus and the mistake is highlighted. And this could be one fumble. What I like to do is take that metaphor and attach it to football. A great quarterback goes and gets in that running back face, or a great quarterback gets in that running back face and be like, I'm coming right back to you. Coming right back to you, dog. I know who you are. I don't care what the fans are saying. I don't even care what some of the teammates are saying. I'm giving you that ball. Be ready. I'm coming right back to you. A bad quarterback goes down to the other end of the bench, pouts, throw his hands up like if his butt don't stink. And that's what society does. You're going to get one of the two. And so if you don't have someone address, if you don't know how to hit that help button when that quarterback goes down there, that's how you see the trades happen. Or you see people lose their whole career because we're not in the locker rooms. We don't see the physical thing that got busy. You don't hear the verbal threats. Because you touched me you put me on the spot while the lights was on, and the humanity side of me couldn't unlock the wisdom inside of me.
Say that again.
You dealt with me while the lights was on, and you humiliated me. And so when it was time for me to deal with me, I couldn't access the wisdom that's inside of me. I didn't have the key to unlock that. You dealt with me in the humanity side. The humanity side is craving, and I didn't have the wisdom that's inside of me. I didn't have the key to access it in that moment while the lights were on.
That's deep. I like that.
And that's how we lose it, man. And then you not knowing, but you hurt me so bad that since I can't unlock the wisdom inside of me, I put a gun in my head, my mouth, and leave you a letter. I'm no good. The tears over that casket, I can't see, I can't hear, and it can't help me. There's no coming back. What are you after? Yeah. What do you want from me? I know I fumbled. What's worse than me, you beating up on me when I done beat up on myself?
I promise, man, listen. I had a conversation with my cousin Trey Nine about a couple months ago. We was talking about life and just stuff like that. And I was like, a lot of times, anything else somebody has ever had to say about me or correct me when I was, I said, because even younger, I do a bunch of crazy, stupid shit. I said, but in those quiet moments when I'm by myself and I wasn't under the influence of intoxicants, I'm like, Corey, you fucking up. You tripping. And I know I'm tripping.
Yeah.
So and I tell my fiance this all the time, like there's never no need. I mean, I definitely appreciate his welcome. Anytime somebody can see me veering off course and, pull me to the side and, help me lift my lantern back up so I can see my way. But I be like, I'm the hardest on myself. I don't need you for that. I promise I don't.
Promise I don't.
I don't thank you for it, but I promise you I give it to myself enough. And I'm talking about on all different levels, whether I'm fucking up, whether I feel like I ain't doing enough, whether I feel like, it's always, and there's something to some degree, especially like if I'm doing enough and moving fast enough, I'm trying to, give myself a little grace. But I could definitely relate to that. Like, I'm hard enough on myself. And back to what you were saying about the tears in the casket, don't castigate me when I'm here, but then when I'm gone, cry with me. Like,
wow, say that one more time.
Don't castigate me while I'm here, but when I'm gone, cry over me. Because when I was here, I just needed a gentle hand. I needed a touch on my back to say, you ain't in this alone. You fucked up. You dropped the ball. But guess who else dropped the ball? The boy who played for the Colts with the gold mouth, he dropped the ball.
Edgerrin
James dropped the ball. Barry Sanders dropped the ball. Any of the greats you can think of, they dropped the ball. This is still a metaphor for life, but metaphor for football, but we're talking life here. So any man who walked the path that you're walking, he has dropped that ball before. And anybody tell you difference, bring them to me, I'm going to point you out to a liar. So don't ever, that's one thing that, it's funny that we live in this type of world though. I mean, that like you said, like one mistake, oh man, y'all put that on every front page. Y'all put that on front page newspaper, ain't got nothing to do with news. Y'all put that on front page of cooking magazines.
Right.
Oh man. Hey, what's this guy talking about? Somebody did something. This is a cooking magazine. I don't know nothing about this guy.
Wow.
Y'all put it on front of cooking magazines, sports magazines, car and muscle car magazines. And it's just supposed to be the regular old local news. Y'all put it on every magazine. Mm-hmm. But when I do good, y'all just put it in the newspaper, put it all the way in the back page.
Small print, all
the way back there in the corner. Yeah, he fed 10,000 people. Wow, he could have did 10,001 if he really cared.
Exactly.
I stretched to make it 10. I really was supposed to feed 8,000. I stretched to make it 10. Lord have mercy. Since we're on the topic of fatherhood, we're gonna stay here for a minute. Do you ever feel guilty for who you were before your kids could understand who you were becoming?
I used to think I felt guilty, but to answer that today, no, I don't.
You don't.
Because what I've realized is that the firstborn always talks about the secondborn and so forth. And I tell them, realize the stages of who I was when you were born versus who I was when your brother was born, who was my last child. And I said, you may have been born when I was $100 here.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about in life across, not just financially.
Yeah.
So if I'm 100 there, I'm 100 there mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically.
Yeah.
When your brother was born, I was a billionaire.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, spiritually, financially.
Yeah.
And I contract that to billionaire because I am more wealthier inside than you could ever financially make me wealthy.
Absolutely.
Like, so what I leave in you is worth more than I could ever leave with you.
Oh, yeah, I like that. And that's true. And it's funny that you used the analogy of if I was, depending on when I had you, because a lot of people know, like, I got a million nicknames. So like, depend on what era I was in my life.
Sure.
That's how, because some people see my wife, the kids call me Shakur, whatever the case would be, like, wait a minute, who? It depends on when you came in my life. It depends, but through the whole thing, to my family, it's always just been Corey.
Yeah.
That's just Corey D. But outsiders, it depends on when you came in my life, man. Which version of me that you know? And it's probably, if you come in now, it's a good thing because we straight. We straight. You won't have no problems out of me, man.
Yeah.
I got another question. So you got 4 kids, right?
Yes, sir.
And one of them is you have a son. And I know how it is raising sons because I got 3.
Yeah.
What is one thing you wish your son knew about you, but you are afraid he would probably misunderstand about that part of your story?
Man, that goes for all my kids but my son. There's only 2 people in this life that could cheer harder for you than me. God, your mother.
I know that's right.
Ain't nobody else on this earth that want to see you win more than your pops. So when it comes to me pouring something into you or challenging you in life, it's because I know that pain. Someone else saved me from it.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't have to get shot to know you don't want to get shot.
Yeah. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, man. So
I think one thing I wish all my sons knew about me would probably misunderstand about my story. I definitely would just like want all of them to know, man, like, whether it look like it or not, man, any plan I make or ever made always been about how to build something to lead them. But the part that I know one of them misunderstand my part of my story, my middle son, unfortunately, he was just in prison. When I talked to him for the first time, he was like, Pops, I bumped into so many dudes to know you, man.
Yeah.
He said, Pops, they all speak highly of you. I said, how can you not? Like, not being arrogant, but like, I don't, you know what I mean? I'm like, he said, man, we just be talking, people ask different questions and stuff. It's like, wait a minute, Kane? Delaware? Like, man. he said, they'll just tell me whatever they knew about you. Like, man, everybody has some good, like, man, your Pops is solid, man. Your Pops good dude, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I could definitely understand where you're coming from with that. Now, this next direction I want to take is a little, I don't want it to be, but, it might, but I really don't want it to be. You recently lost your grandmother, right? So what role did language play in your healing? And did that vocabulary come from something you built in silence or something you built in pain?
Both.
Both?
I built it in, it was, both have been birthed out of silence and pain.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to my grandmother's daughter, who was my mama. I lost my mom before I lost my grandma.
So give the viewers an example. Give me an example. What are at least, you just give me one out of each.
Okay.
What are one of the vocabulary words you built in silence to help you heal, and what was one that you built in pain to get through it?
And silence was killing me. When my mother passed, not speaking of her, what I felt like I didn't want to speak about her because it would always cause me to, the pain.
Right.
That she's no longer here.
Right.
Well, in that silence, it was doing the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And once I learned to speak about it, it started to heal me.
Yeah.
Speaking out about
you gotta
it.
Speak about it.
Living in the moments, and revitalizing it. So I want to hear my mother's name. It will never, so long as I breathe, when I rise, she rise in me.
Absolutely.
So that's what I got out of that.
Absolutely. How do you stay grounded? Because, we're still in fatherhood, but how do you stay grounded with all the work you do to help others, but still hold yourself accountable? Because I know from what I know about the barbershop talk, like there's accountability must be took on both sides. Like, and when I did the panel, when I was in Indianapolis, I did the panel. We talked about like differences between the church and the streets and older and younger. Well, like, what are some of your daily practices that you personally use for yourself to hold yourself accountable as you walk and move through grace to help others begin to take the same process?
As I was traveling on a back road to your location, God spoke to me and told me to take a picture. This picture is beautiful.
Yeah.
It captures just trees, a road. And so far out as I could see, you see the road, but then it comes a portion in that portion picture to where you don't know what's coming around the next corner. And as I'm sitting here talking to you now, there's nothing worse than a derailed train that you're trying to get back onto the track.
Man.
And so God spoke to me and said, will you trust me when you can't see what's around the corner? And that wisdom is so profound. And believe it or not, man, someone that's related to you, man, the wife that God gave me.
Yeah.
I hit the lottery 3
I
times.
hit the lottery 3 times.
3 times. And, I hit the lottery on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yeah.
They said impossible.
Yeah.
The wife that God gave me, Tanisha, Yvette, Patton, man, there's words that she say, man, that make me feel like I can lift the world.
Absolutely.
And so I can't stress enough about holding down. And you ask me, I'm forever learning and I'm forever growing, man. That woman, that queen, that the wind beneath my sails, the pulse to my veins, I mean, the oxygen in my lungs, that's what she became, man. She ain't nothing like a queen that can hold you down, right, wrong, and different, through the good, bad, the ugly, and the nasty.
You better believe it.
So when a woman will stand out in front of you and protect you from all the onslaught that the world is throwing and still love you when you down, busted, and disgusted, and hand you their bank card to front the bill like if you got the money and you don't, I hit the lottery 3 times and in 3 days.
Absolutely. I can definitely agree with that. Since we've been talking, I've noticed a certain theme that runs through your life. Chicago has been known, not the whole city, some parts, have been known for being very violent, very rough. Pit bulls, even though it's a complete misnomer, it's not true how pit bull turn on you. But pit bulls are, society looked at as being viewed as, vicious, malicious, just crazy dogs. Again, that's toughness. Being a Crip, gang life, definitely comes with its fair share of toughness. But my question to you is, how has having a granddaughter, or what has having a granddaughter taught you about softness? Because we got 2 different ends of the spectrum. We got Chicago, pit bulls, gang. Then we got the granddaughter.
I never knew soft could be so tough.
That's deep.
I never knew soft could be so tough.
That's deep.
The purest love that you can receive.
Yeah.
And while this train is derailed, and though a lot of people look at and view me in a certain scope that I may have caused, there's one person that no matter when they see me,
Papa,
I'm perfect. It's her love is untainted. You can't taint her love. Though everybody that has a scope and has viewed me from the derailing of this train and this delayed but not denied moment, God saying, hold on, just wait. But while you wait, know that stain ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
An all white suit with that big cherry red stain right in the middle, that stays there. Every time you put that on, I'm not going to get it out. Don't even bother taking it to the cleaners. But in that, everybody could talk to my granddaughter and tell them what they know about her granddaddy.
Yeah.
And when she see me, none and void. So the softest could never be so tough, because when I'm around her, I know her love is truly real for her papier.
So how do you reconcile her softness with the softness that the gang life taught you to reject?
Wow. the revelation in that is that the trauma from the gang life was skewed, false, and it really don't exist.
Yeah.
It don't really exist. There's no, as much as people talk about a rat,
Yeah.
Benny the Bull, the real Benny the Bull.
Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the
I said Benny the Bull. I'm talking about the Chicago Bulls. Sammy the Bull. It gets no tougher by what was done. And if this man went and told on this organization to this magnitude, none of us that's out here so-called called that and lived our life will never equate to what Sammy the Bull or the organization to the magnitude that he was involved in. We only dreamed of it when we was quote unquote street thugs.
Yeah.
I dispel that myth because trauma told me that having a mom and dad and living in a gated community is trash.
Yeah.
It's trash. Listen to what society has told me. If you are born with a mom or dad, 2 cars, 2 houses, 2 bank accounts, you ain't tough. That's what the society of the South Side of Chicago has taught me.
I seen a post the other day. Dude said, bro, let me tell you something. Getting up to go to work every day, making it home back safe, that's not lame. Putting your heart and all to everything you got into one woman, that's not lame. He just went down the list saying all the things that wasn't lame. He said, I'm going to tell you what's lame. Keep going back to jail for that's lame. Keep sleeping with 100 women.
That's lame.
That's lame. So he kind of flipped it on his head and bro, let me tell you something. No, I gotta tell you this. I don't know if I ever talked to you about this. But growing up in 6th grade until I got put out, whatever year that was, we got put out of school. But I always been fairly book smart. I always been fairly book smart because my older sisters.
I know that.
So I always been fairly book smart. But growing up in a certain environment, bro, I had to dumb it down because I didn't want to be looked at as he book nerd. He's soft. He go in your house, do your homework, nigga. I'm trying to make it somewhere like that. So I had to dumb it all the way down just to damn near fit in, man.
To fit in.
And when I went to prison this second time, I was sitting there talking to one of the brothers. He passed away, Reynolds Bay. Passed away not so long after he got out. But anyway, and me and he was saying the same thing. Like, how dysfunctional is that? Right now, I see my middle son text her there. I said, I need some smart tech friends. Because the nerds, so-called nerds, is winning. The Bill Gates, the Elon Musk, the Facebook, these dudes is winning because they smart.
Yeah.
But I dumbed it down because I didn't want to be seen outside of what's normal.
Wow. I'm going to share this with you. I know you're about to come to a close. But listen, my grandfather, when I was just a little boy, I couldn't even see over the dashboard of this deuce and a quarter 225 Buick Electra. But that was my seat. It was my grandma's seat, but when she wasn't there, it was my seat.
Yeah.
And this man gave me some wisdom. He said, when I finally was able to see over the dashboard, he said, son, I'm so concerned about your generation. And now I'm a 70s baby.
Yeah.
And he was concerned about our generation.
Yeah.
And so that tells you it was curving in the 70s to going from good to not so good. And I said, Papa, what are you talking about? He said, do you know this car you sitting in? I went to a car dealership and I told a man I can give you this much every month and I guarantee you I'll pay it. He said, do you know I rode off another that car with just my word and a handshake? He said, there was no such thing as a contract, no credit check.
Handshake deal.
He said, because your word stood for something. He said, you kids' word don't stand for nothing. That's why they got to get all in your business. And so as you were sharing that, I was taken back to my grandfather saying, you know where y'all going to? I said, Papa, what? He said, we were built on the concerns of who was on the right of us, left of us, and across the street and behind the backyard, our neighbors.
Yeah.
He said, if I got 12 horses, there's 11 more people that's going to have a horse.
Exactly.
He said, but what y'all do, y'all take all 12 of them, put it on front of one buggy and ride around in front of the 11 neighbors that ain't got not one horse. He said, because y'all rather to show it off and stunt and make them feel less than what you are. Yeah. He said when our thing, when we was coming up, was the concern of when we rise, we all rise. Yeah. When one eat, we all eat. He said, son, do you know we used to cook food by the day? I got Monday. Yeah. Tomorrow we gonna be over your house Tuesday. Yeah. He said we ate at everyone's house. Yeah. And I remember we slept in what they call shotgun houses, where the back door and the front door, the wind come through with no doors locked. We slept like that all night. So man, this is what unfortunately we are trying to impact without force feeding it down the throats of our youth of today. Yeah. We're just trying to give them their formula, but let them hear it in their own words.
Absolutely. I seen another podcast you was on a while back, and you had said something about, so I think you were saying something about feelings are temporary, but emotions can dictate actions, and that unregulated emotions lead to impulsive decisions. As you stand today, can you share a moment where you had to choose emotional maturity over instinct, and what that decision taught you about being the man you are today?
Most of the time, I always use a metaphor. I'm gonna try to make this real quick. Superman's one of my greatest heroes, in the comics.
Right.
Long as you mess with Superman, you typically don't get a response from him. Like you can push Clark Kent around, he really don't. But when you mess with Lois or the people, and so who is Lois? Lois is my wife.
Absolutely.
There came a time, if I'm out, I go back to the pit bull. Yeah. Pit bull during the day is different than the pit bull at night. Yeah. At night, that pit bull ears is up and his tails is up because he knows that in darkness, danger lurks. Yeah. And so he's completely different tempered at night versus the day. Yeah. And my wife was out with me, and a guy crossed across her, almost running her down. Yeah. And the man that you talked about earlier realize, I want to say this to where the world realizes, he's not gone, he's just asleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just asleep.
Absolutely.
So stop playing, stop. Stop. And that's what I'm saying. Betty can calm Bruce down. You not Betty.
Yeah, exactly.
Only somebody, only one voice can penetrate that green guy to reach who he really is. Yeah. And so at that moment, I was impulsively, I remember Hawk was doing his breathing technique to keep the rage from happening. This man didn't cross my queen. He was disrespectful to her. It was blatant obvious that he wasn't going to say he was sorry or something. And so we went home. I was able to see growth as I got in the car that could have went another way. Yeah. That he was trying all of the buttons that say do not push. Yeah. You pushed all of them at one time. And what that allows me to do is realize this life is but a vapor.
It is.
And although you disrespected and felt like you got one up, the growth in that was my beautiful wife was unharmed. My beautiful wife was still gonna be uplifted by me the moment she got in the car. And that's when we started our healing processes in that car. Yeah. And I started telling her how beautiful she was. And so long as that he didn't touch you, baby, I was okay. Yeah. You got close.
But you know what's so crazy? I had to learn this the hard way, man. I'm pretty sure you already know what I'm about to say. So you talk about the growth. There's only one way for growth to happen. There have to be conditions to test the growth. People are like, I'm just praying for patience. Well, don't think you're just gonna wake up one morning and just patient. He's gonna send you a flood of things to test and develop that patience. Can't just give it to you.
You ask for it.
For this. I just pay for patience, and okay, well, I'm about to send you a bunch of tests that's gonna either make you patient or you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
You don't have patience.
Yeah, 100%.
You have walked in many, and we got a few more questions. We about to wrap up.
Okay.
You have walked in many roles in your life. You have been, well, you still are, father, church leader, community activist. You're running your nonprofit. Any other titles or whatever I might be missing out. Do you believe there's a version of one of those roles that never got the love you deserve?
Do I believe that?
So you've been a gang member. You still are a father, community activist, church leader, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing some more. But in one of those roles, do you ever believe that you didn't get the love you deserve? Is that in that version of yourself?
Man, we always feel like that.
I always feel like that.
What, man? A husband, a father, man. Yeah, you gonna feel like, oh my God, did you see what all the labor? I worked 80 hours this week. Came in, I didn't feel like I got what Yeah, we feel that. Yeah, we feel that. But man, have a granddaughter. Yeah, she'll pay it all back. And he or she will pay it all back.
And mine was just down here. Let me tell you. Oh my God! Every 5 minutes, pop. Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing. Man.
Yes, man.
And I know we even though it's the truth, we joke about it as men. We joke about it because I know me. I'm a go getter. I don't put too much emphasis on that. I tell my fiance, I'm trying like, I got the tears of a clown, man. I make everybody else smile and think laugh, but inside I'm hurting. You know what I mean? But I don't whatever. But what I was about to say, we make a joke about like, and I said, do you not feel like you get the love you deserve? I don't know why they do it so dirtball on Father's Day. The mamas get 15 baskets. She get took out to eat. Father's Day, somebody go to McDonald's, give him a fish sandwich. His daddy, he just peeing.
Listen,
I'm peeing on to say another company she used to work for.
Listen,
you don't even work for this company no more. What are you? It's a talk to count, daddy. So yeah, I feel that, man. I do. I do. They do it dirty on Father's Day, man.
Man, there you go. Listen, you struck a chord. I tell people all the time, on Mother's Day, stores like Reese Nichols,
everybody
Tom Ford, the dealerships, cars are passed out. Mothers might receive a yacht.
Man,
I said, but on Father's Day, the dollar stores are full.
Man.
Family Dollar and Dollar Tree.
Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, Dollar General. Straight up.
You gonna get a mug, a tie, and dad.
You didn't win
number one dad.
You didn't spend $5 and got me 5 items. No, probably because the bag probably cost $1. So you didn't buy the gift bag and 4 items for $5 and put all this stuff together like I really got
it in there.
But I'm thankful, man. But I could definitely agree with that. I got a more serious type question. What does legacy look like for a man who once belonged to the streets but now belongs to the mission?
Legacy looks like everybody that God gives me the opportunity to meet in the pain that I was meeting those individuals in the pain that I am healing from.
Okay.
Meeting every individual I get to meet in that. Legacy looks like them healing as well. Yeah. And that's from family, friend, or foe. Yeah. Legacy looks like not my names and lights, not no statue, but people that's living and breathing. As you was talking about when your son, although they say, oh, it's prison, it was a legacy left in that prison. And your name is still being mentioned. They say, oh, well, who cares about a legacy in prison? Yeah. You ain't never been in prison, have you?
Exactly.
So it don't mean much to you. But for the man that went in there and came home and has become who you are becoming, and as I'm sitting on this show with you, this podcast with you, looking at you, knowing that where you at don't match with what I know.
Man. That was street wisdom from the heart, my brother. And I thank you for existing with purpose. We out.